Hello people, I am the Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be talking about why Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. Now, there are other characters that do certain things better than him, but he is my favorite. For instance, Luke to me is the most well-written character in Star Wars, well, in all of film for that matter. Like, his character arc was amazing up until The Force Awakens, but up until then, it was just fantastic. To me, Han is the most fun character out of all of them, but Obi-Wan is my overall favorite. I just love the character so much, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So, I fell in love with the character of Obi-Wan from the very beginning when I was first shown A New Hope when I was really little. And just the thing that really grasped me about him was the fact that when you're first introduced to him, it's when he's saving Luke, and then he takes him into his like little hut or whatever you want to call it, and he just opens up an entire world to you because you see, okay, it's in space, it's on this desert planet, okay, it's interesting, I like seeing what's going on, I got a farm boy, and then Obi-Wan appears and he just sets your world on fire. He just opens up this entire new world, like flips everything upside down for you because he's like, hey, there's this thing called the Clone Wars, here's this lightsaber, this weird looking laser sword, there's this thing called the Force, and he's just telling you all this stuff, and it's like, whoa, I was not prepared for this. And Obi-Wan is basically a portal to another world because he's opening up. Because, at this point in the movie, you're sort of like Luke, the viewer is sort of like Luke. You're just going in the movie, you're watching, okay, and then just bam, Obi-Wan's there. It's like, I didn't know this stuff existed. I didn't know. And so Obi-Wan is just so interesting because he's been through all this stuff, and you're like, okay, I want to see this stuff. I want to see what's going on. And then he mind tricks the stormtrooper, and it's like, what was that all about? The Force can do that? I didn't know that. And then he cuts that guy's arm off at the bar, and it's like, this Obi-Wan guy, this guy's awesome. And then you just keep going through, and he's revealing new secrets, and it's just so cool. But anyways, back to that scene inside of his hut area house thing, when he's inside there with Luke telling him about everything. What's so great about this, because we had two fantastic actors play Obi-Wan with Sir Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor, both amazing actors, like so good. And in that scene, what's so great is he's explaining to him the Clone Wars and Anakin, what happened with that, and you see the look on Obi-Wan's face. It's like, this guy's been through some stuff, and I really want to know what and what's exactly happened. You don't know what happened, but you can see that some stuff went down, and that's all thanks to Alec Guinness's performance. It's just amazing. And what's so fantastic about his performance there is the fact that he did not know what they went through. He didn't know anything about the prequels. He didn't know. He just knew, hey, these two been through some stuff together, and so try to put a lick of paint on your face. But if you look at it, it looks like he knows exactly what happened, and that's just great. Someone made a video on YouTube. It's huge now. I absolutely love it. It's great. You'll get hit by the feels. I hate when people say that, but it doesn't fit it except for this. It fits it perfectly. You will be hit by the feels if you're a Star Wars fan watching this video. It's called like Obi-Wan Remembers the Truth, I think is what it's called. I'll try to put a link in the description if you haven't seen it. You probably have, but it's fantastic, and it really showcases how good Alec Guinness's acting for that scene was, because in that scene it looks like he remembers every painstaking detail of Anakin's death and his betrayal of the Jedi and turning to the dark side. It's like, oh man, how did he pull that off? It's because he's just so great. And so from that very first interaction with Luke, you are hooked on this character. Like, whoa, what is this guy all about? I want to learn more. And then again, he reveals more stuff. Like when you get to the Death Star, everyone else is kind of like, okay, gotta save the princess. Like, how are we gonna do that? Where Obi-Wan's on the case, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's a man on a mission with a plan, and he goes and he turns off the tractor beam, and he goes all stealth mode. And I thought that was pretty cool because it's like some old guy, yeah, he can do some mind tricks, and he's got a lightsaber, but what else is he gonna do? And he just stealth past everyone, turns off the tractor beam, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, you have that fateful showdown with Vader, which is great. The lightsaber fight is, yes, a bit lackluster because it's two older guys fighting. Well, one old man fighting and another guy that's really restricted by what he's wearing and not really able to see and move well. And so it's not the greatest in terms of lightsaber fights, but in terms of tension of the scene and the dialogue, it's fantastic. It's great. I loved it. That's why I really do like the fight. Again, the fight itself, if you're just basing it off choreography and things like that, it's not that great. But if you include in the everything that's been going on, the context, It's a great scene, and I love it. And then you see when he turns over and looks at Luke, and he's just, he gives up. He's like, he's done. It's like, what is he doing? Why isn't he defending himself? Why is he giving up? When in actuality, he sees that it's not his duty. It's not his fate. It's not his destiny to kill Vader. It's like, whether he could or not, it's not his thing. So he bought them enough time to get out of the ship, and he dies with Luke watching. And to me, that was when I was a little, that was what made it my least favorite Star Wars film out of the originals when I was little, was because of the fact that Obi was my favorite character and he died, and I was like, I can't rewatch that. It's so sad. And it was a great scene, like how it was executed with Obi-Wan's death. I loved it, but when I was little, I hated that scene because, like, oh, why that guy kill Obi-Wan? And that's how you know it's great, because it really made me feel pain for this character, my favorite character. He died. It's like, no. But yeah, I really do love that scene when he just closes his eyes and realizes what it's all about, and the fact that he's not the one to take down Vader, even though that was his apprentice and they went through so much. It's not his destiny. It's not for him to do. He just closes his eyes and dies, and I love that scene. But anyways, for the rest of the original trilogy, he kind of just, well, is a prick as a ghost. He just, like, lies a lot. And, yeah, not so good guy Obi-Wan. But for the rest of the trilogy, he's okay. He's just ghost Obi-Wan. Again, he also reveals more stuff that's awesome, that's opening the world to you, and the fact that there's Force ghosts, because Obi-Wan, again, is like the portal to everything new. In the beginning, he introduced you to the lightsabers, the Force, the Jedi Order, the Clone Wars. It's like, oh, wow, all this stuff, this is awesome. And then, in Episode 5, he introduced you to Force Ghosts, the fact that there is life beyond death. And it's like, wow, and he just keeps on, opening up the world to you, which I think is awesome. I really liked the fact that George Lucas used Obi-Wan as a tool like that to open up the world to everyone. And, yeah, I loved it. Now moving on to the prequel trilogy. Now, these aren't exactly a great set of films, but Obi-Wan was definitely the best part about them. A good bit of that is because of the fact that Ewan McGregor is such a fantastic actor, and he just killed it as Obi-Wan, did a great job. And but it's not all because of that. I mean, Ewan McGregor deserves all the credit in the world, but I still feel like Obi-Wan was well written for most of the prequels. Like, he was pretty interesting, because to me, you look at other, not everyone was a bad actor in this movie. For instance, Liam Neeson, people are like, oh, he's a deadpan, but that's the way his character was written. That I don't attribute that to his acting. Liam Neeson, to me, did a good job. Just Qui-Gon was a boring character, so, the greatest acting in the world would not save a character. I still feel like Obi-Wan was pretty interesting. Well, the most interesting out of all the characters in this trilogy. Like when on Tatooine, when they're going into town to find Anakin, find parts for their ship, you're wondering what Obi-Wan's doing. No one cares about what's going on with all that pod racing and crap. Everyone's just like, where's Obi-Wan at? Why is he on the ship? Why isn't he doing something? I want to see Obi-Wan do something, because he's the most interesting character. So of course you want to see what he's up to, because he's always up to something cool. So by the end of the movie, Obi-Wan is a part of, in my opinion, as far as choreography goes, the coolest looking lightsaber fight in all of the Star Wars movies. Now, it's not my favorite, because if you're factoring in intensity and context and story and all that, then it's definitely not the best. But if you're just going purely off of how it looks, it is the best lightsaber fight in all of the Star Wars movies. It's so cool looking, and I really loved it, especially once Qui-Gon dies. After that, like, the intensity gets dialed to 11. Just watch the speed change, because they're fighting, they're going at it, and you're like, okay, this is really cool. This is like, the fastest they've ever gone in any of the Star Wars movies. And then after that, after Qui-Gon dies, it goes even faster and harder and, like, more intense. I'm like, oh god, I didn't think it could get any better, and it did. Like, Obi-Wan Darth Maul, almost said Darth Vader there. Obi-Wan Darth Maul goes so fast after that, so hard and intense, and just into it. And I was like, yes, this fight's so awesome. And I love how Qui-Gon died. It was a mirroring A New Hope. I thought it was pretty cool how, of course, it was a little stupid. Like, why don't you use force speed to, just go straight through the doors and all that? It's like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal to me. Of course, it's lacking a little common sense. And it's like, oh, they need to explain the force a bit better, because they use super speed here to get, the force speed speed to get away from the droidekas, but here they can't use them to get through time doors. But whatever, it's not that big a deal. I like the way Qui-Gon died and how Obi-Wan just was forced to watch it happen. It was, of course, it mirrored Luke, but I really liked it because there was nothing he could do. He wanted to help his master as much as he could, but he couldn't, and it really added to the character and his arc. And he watched him die, and then he takes out Darth Maul again. Another thing lacking common sense in the fact that Darth Maul could have killed him because he had the high ground when he was jumping up. But at the same time, that does make a little bit of sense because Darth Maul's being cocky here. He's a Sith. He's got this young apprentice down there. He's like, I just kicked this guy's butt and I killed his master. I don't really, it's all done. And then Obi-Wan, to me, one of my favorite parts, I really loved it when I was little and I still love it now, where Obi-Wan, like, the camera is looking at his eyes and we see him looking over at Qui-Gon's lightsaber, then it pans to Qui-Gon's lightsaber, cuts to Qui-Gon's lightsaber, and it starts jittering a bit, moving a bit, and then Obi-Wan jumps up, grabs it, and kills Darth Maul. I love it. Of course, this was undone later on because they brought Darth Maul back in Clone Wars, which to me was incredibly stupid, but still, it's an awesome moment, and I love it, and it's very triumphant, and again, it just adds to the character. It's so cool because he got his revenge, even though Jedis aren't really supposed to get revenge, he got his revenge for his master, and I love that, and also, he has that touching moment with Qui-Gon, which, again, these are like the two best actors in this movie, and they really do have a touching moment, and he's like, train the boy, and that adds to Obi-Wan's arc as well, because Obi-Wan, he didn't really like Anakin. He didn't really want to trade him. That was Qui-Gon's thing. Obi-Wan's whole thing was, hey, I want to separate from my master. I want to be my own man now. I want to be an actual Jedi instead of an apprentice. I'm getting kind of old. I don't want to be an apprentice anymore. And then Qui-Gon's like, hey, train the boy because I'm dying and I'm your master. And you wouldn't want to upset your master's dying wish. And so he gets stuck with Anakin. It's like, oh, that sucks, but he's got to do it. So, yeah, that's another thing adding to Obi-Wan's arc. And then we have Episode 2, which is just terrible. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's awful, but Obi-Wan still has the coolest scene in it. And the fact of where he goes and fights Jango Fett, that part was pretty cool. Like, the only part of the movie that was really any good, because the final lightsaber fight was pretty stupid, but still, even that part's a little cool when Obi-Wan first shows up and he blocks the Force lightning. It's like, that's awesome. Obi-Wan blocked it, and then he gets his butt kicked. It's like, Obi-Wan, get up, please, but he doesn't. So, yeah, not a whole lot happens here. The Dexter Jettster scene, a lot of people hate it. I don't really care for it because, CGI Dexter Jettster is a little stupid, but it is another thing that broadens the world for us that Obi-Wan is constantly doing in these Star Wars movies, is the fact that it shows that Obi-Wan has all these contacts and there's a world outside the Jedi, and I really enjoyed that because these movies really focused on the Jedi and seeing things from their point of view and all that stuff. But in this, we see that Obi-Wan's not the typical Jedi. He's not the guy that just, does everything by the book and things, and he goes to this guy that he's a friend of his that knows a lot about the universe, something that even the Jedi Archives don't know, was wiped from the Jedi Archives, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like, I hate Dexter Jettster's stupid, and the scene's kind of stupid, but I like the fact that it adds to the world, and the fact that Obi-Wan's got these contacts, this guy that he's been friends with for a while that knows him, and it just sets things up. It's more stuff from, like, at the beginning of Episode 4, when he tells you all about the Clone Wars and the Jedi Order, and it's like, oh, what's this big world? I want to see more of that. And this, it shows you that, and it shows you that Obi-Wan's got these contacts and friends, and he's done a lot of things. It's like, okay, I like that. It adds history to it. That's pretty cool, but the scene was pretty bad, but that aspect of it I liked. Also, something that I forgot to mention that I liked from Episode 2 involving Obi-Wan was the beginning with the cantina. What I thought was cool about that was the fact that, again, it mirrored the cantina scene from Episode 4 a bit, which, it always gets me a little bit excited when then George Lucas would do something like that in the prequels. Like, oh, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, what was really cool about this was the fact that in Episode 1, we saw a really Obi-Wan that really couldn't control his temper, wasn't very wise, wasn't very patient. And this, it seemed like he was sort of the same because he just jumped straight through the window on that assassin bot, and it's like, what? But then here, we see that he has learned a little bit because he's like, patience, and Anakin's just like, no, I'm going to kill this guy. And so he's just going through looking for the bounty hunter, and then Obi-Wan's just sitting there at the bar doing his thing. You don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. I love that line still. But yeah, he's just sitting there having a drink, being cool Obi-Wan, and then turns and cuts her hand off. I was like, That's awesome. It was a really cool moment. It showed how Obi-Wan had matured from episode 1 to episode 2. Now we move on to Revenge of the Sith, episode 3. Obviously the best of the prequels. But this movie started a little weak with Obi-Wan. Like, at first it was pretty cool because I liked seeing him and Anakin's chemistry, and they actually had some good back and forth and some good dialogue. I was like, okay, I like seeing the relationship grow. This is something I wanted to see since episode 4 when, you know, we learned about him and Anakin and all that stuff happening. And it's like, okay, I like seeing this stuff play out. And then the Dooku fight happens, and it's very just plot says this happens to happen, so it does. Like, it's like, hey, Anakin has to face Dooku and kill him, so we gotta throw Obi-Wan out of the equation. So Obi-Wan, like, doesn't even last as long as he did in the episode 2 fight with Dooku. So it's like, where's the progression here? Because this is supposed to be Obi-Wan in his prime. At least that's the intention that I got. I thought it was supposed to be Obi-Wan in his prime, but nope. But after that, we do get some cool stuff with Obi-Wan talking to Anakin a bit about Chancellor Palpatine and him hunting down Grievous. Grievous is incredibly stupid, but still, seeing Obi-Wan hunt him down, I kind of liked. And again, seeing Obi-Wan in his prime was just, that's always cool, and I really like seeing that. And something that I really do like is when he's hunting down Grievous, we do see the fact that he's still not 100% Mr. Master-wise Obi-Wan Jedi yet. He's not to Alec Guinness Jedi yet, because we see that he jumps down in the middle of all those droids with Grievous, and he's just like, hello there. And I was like, he's still got that. He's still the young Obi-Wan. I like that. He's matured a lot, but he's still got a little bit of that young Obi-Wan in him. I really like seeing that sort of a bit of arrogance of, I'm a Jedi and I can kick butt whenever I want, but he's also still like really wise and stuff. So I like seeing that. He wasn't 100% matured to the Alec Guinness Obi-Wan yet, but he was getting close. The Obi-Wan Grievous fight is kind of whatever. It's a little bit cool, but at the same time really dumb, because that chase was just really stupid. Like, they could have done so much better with a guy with 4 lightsabers fighting Obi-Wan. It could have been awesome, but it's not near as cool as it should have been. It's still not a bad fight, though. But anyways, then moving on, we see when Obi-Wan confronts Padme, and I love this scene when he's just like, Anakin's the father, isn't he? I love that scene because in that she admits that, he knows that Anakin's the father, and any other Jedi would have scolded her right there and been like, oh, how dare you, doing this with a Jedi and stuff. Even in the circumstances, any other Jedi would have just been a prick, like they always are. But we see that Obi-Wan is a different kind of Jedi. He's not Jedi that's 100% by the rule book, and it's like, well, you gotta do this, and this. He understands these human feelings, and this is something that the Clone Wars adds to a little bit, in the fact that we saw he was in love with Duchess Satine, so at least I think that was her name. It's been a while since I've watched Clone Wars, but anyways, I really like seeing that, and the fact that it shows that he is a human, to where a lot of the Jedis just seem like robots and they're like people without feelings and things, to where Obi-Wan understands he's more relatable and he's more of a human than just some Jedi that follows the rules 100%, and this scene really shows it, and Ewan McGregor again kills it in this scene. Now moving on to the final fight on Mustafar between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I would have preferred there to be more dialogue in this fight, but nonetheless, it's still pretty cool. And when the dialogue happens, it's really good by Ewan McGregor. He delivers it well, but it's a little weird because you go from Oscar-worthy amazingness with Ewan McGregor to just crappy direct-to-DVD Hayden Christensen. It's like, like the line delivery is so different from these two. Ewan McGregor's putting his all into it. There's so much emotion, just like raw emotion. It's great. And then Hayden Christensen sounds really whiny. And it's like, he didn't do that bad in some scenes though. Like, he massively improved from episode 2, but still there's some times when he says stuff and it's just like, that's Darth Vader right there. But anyways, nonetheless, Obi-Wan is great in the entire Mustafar fight. I really loved seeing his character interact with Anakin. It really brought everything full circle from the beginning of episode 4 to where he opened the world to us and we learned all this stuff and we wanted to see more about what happened with Anakin and him. And so it was just great. It really brought everything full circle, and I just love the character of Obi-Wan. That's why I talked about every movie he's appeared in. So yeah, that is why I love Obi-Wan Kenobi and why he's my favorite character in all of Star Wars. To me, he's just the most interesting, and whenever he's in a movie, in one of the Star Wars movies, I'm always wondering what he's doing, even when he's like not on screen. I'm just like, what is Obi-Wan doing right now? Because I bet he's doing something really cool, because he always is, because he's Obi-Wan. So yeah, that's why I love Obi-Wan. Please let me know in the comments below, who is your favorite character in all of Star Wars and why. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.